Hello, folks, and welcome into part 2 of this week's show, featuring my conversations with two of my favorite guests of all time, John Inman and Matthew Laurance. Now, John Inman quickly became one of my all-time favorites. He has been a part of the show 3 times now over the last about year or so, but he is such a wonderful guy. He is such a great personality, wonderful stories, and he just makes every segment that he has been a part of over the last year so much fun. Boy, I've just really grown to love John. And then, of course, Matthew Laurance. Matthew has been on the show now tonight. It's going to be the 24th time. So you know how great he is and how much fun he has made all of those 24 segments, 23 so far, and the 24th tonight is right up there as well. So I can't thank both of these guys enough for coming back and being a part of the show. I know you're really going to enjoy this segment. So sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next hour or so. Before we get started, I want to remind you about our friends over at 2 Under. 2 Under men's performance briefs are the unofficial underwear of the PGA, Ryder Cup, and President's Cup teams, and are sold in over 3,000 golf pro shops and golf specialty retailers nationwide. Ricky Fowler is their global ambassador, and over 50 other PGA, Korn Ferry, and Champions Tour players wear them. Just to mention a few, they are David Toms, Jerry Kelly, Justin Thomas, William McGirt, Scott McCarron, and Chris DeMarco. The Joey Pouch technology provides the ultimate male asset management, delivering maximum comfort from the tee box to the boardroom to the bedroom. Go to 2under.com to check out the bundle specials that offer substantial discounts for being a Next on the Tee listener. That's the number 2, UNDR.com. 2 Under, performance in your pants.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
All right, now back in Next on the Tee with me is John Inman. It has been a blast having John as part of the show this year. He has quickly become one of my all-time favorite guests. Let me briefly remind you about his background. He's from Greensboro, North Carolina. He attended Grimsley High School and won the 1980 High School Athletic Association State Championship. Went on to play his college golf at the University of North Carolina, where he was a 3-time All-American. In 1982, he won the ACC Championship. During his senior season, he received the Haskins Award, which is given annually to the College Player of the Year. He was the individual medalist, in fact, at the 1984 National Championship. His 17 under par score broke the scoring record that had been set by Ben Crenshaw in 1971. He also won the Western Amateur in 1984, beating Rocco Meady at 3-2. John turned pro in 85 and got through Q School in 86, got his first win on the PGA Tour in 87 at the Provident Classic, which was played just up the street from me here in Atlanta in Chattanooga. He won that tournament by a stroke over Bill Glasson and Rocco Meady again. He won again in 93 at the Buick Classic, this time in a 5-way playoff that included a great friend of this show, Bob Estes. After his playing days, he went back to the University of North Carolina and became the head coach of the men's team there from 1998 to 2011. And he led them to 16 tournament victories, 2 10th-place finishes in the NCAA National Championship. He also played a few seasons out on the PGA Tour Champions, had 3 top 10 finishes out there. And in 2012, he was inducted into the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more honored. I get to have him back with me again this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, John, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Chris. And I just, I love to hear that intro because it makes me way better than I ever was. So I need that maybe once a year just to kind of, keep me going.
Absolutely. You call me anytime. You got it. So, John, before we get into all the golf stuff, obviously Christmas is coming up here in a few days. I got to get your Christmas wish list. What'd you ask Santa for this year?
Man, nothing. Sleep. Man, we've been my wife and I. We're up in Ohio right now, and we opened an Airbnb that's just right around the block from us, and so we've been doing a lot of work over there, and so we're kind of splitting our time between North Carolina and Ohio. And just some sleep. I would love some sleep.
So to that end now, as I recall from our previous conversation, that Airbnb, aren't you guys like right around the corner, not that far away from the Christmas Story house?
Yeah, well, that's not far from the airport down there in Cleveland. So yes, we're within 30 miles or within 30 miles. Yes. And we went when we had some friends coming to town, and we picked them up at the airport, and then we went up there and went to it, and it was a blast. It was really cool.
Yeah. So what's the house? What's the neighborhood like? Take us inside a little bit for those of us who haven't got a chance to see it beyond what's on the movie.
It's a pure, Ohio, Michigan, upper Midwest neighborhood. Just very nice homes. But they've been around for, like, the one we're in here in Lorain is 100 years old. So a lot of 80 to 100-year-old houses, and small lots, and but it's just a really cute little neighborhood. And just right behind that fence, though, when you look through it, you see this big steel factory back there, and I think that was one of the things that they requested. So they looked at a lot of places before they found just the right one to do that movie.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
John, switching gears, let's talk a little golf. There are a lot of changes going on in our game right now at the top level. Starting with the college game, the recruiting process is going to change with the potential $2.78 billion House versus the NCAA settlement, which got preliminary approval. And if it goes through, schools will be able to give direct compensation to student athletes while also removing scholarship limitations, which sounds great for college students and coaches. The catch is, as part of the agreement, the NCAA is going to impose roster limits on each sport by next fall, which will either cost thousands of kids their opportunity to go play, or at least go play where they've committed to. How do you feel about the impact that is going to have at places like your alma mater at UNC?
Wow. It just seems like everything is a seismic change in our sport right now. Nothing goes slowly, it seems like. And when I came to UNC, I had 17 players on my team. And our course had just been closed down to be redone by Tom Fazio for 15 months. So but then there's some schools that have 8 players, things like that. So, to put roster limits like that, but I guess, it makes it easier on the coach, because there are so many times that people wanted to come to UNC. I just want to come to UNC. I want to be on the team. I know I might not play that much, but, I mean, you could have 25 guys on the team, and that's not doing you any good. So, if somebody, puts a limit on you, that's one thing, but then you have to be able to, play within those limits. But, and I think back to the one of the best lines I ever heard from Richard Sykes, who was the coach for 43 years at North Carolina State. And I was always asking him questions. And I said, Richard, what's the perfect size team? He said 6. I said, 6? Why so small? Why 6? He said, because the guy that's sitting at home doesn't have anybody to bitch to. that was one of my favorite lines I ever heard. So it's gonna be interesting, and I just don't understand the whole NIL thing. I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand it. We're just it's just professional athletes. If we're paying them. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, to your point about the NIL, I mean, like that $2.78 billion is going to go towards some retroactive damages to former college athletes going back all the way to 2016 who didn't have an opportunity to earn compensation through NIL deals, like you mentioned. Plus, it allows college athletic departments to opt into revenue sharing with current and future college athletes, starting north of, I believe, $20 million annually per school. But when you think about, all of that money and it trickling down to different schools, I have to imagine it's going to be in a tiered perspective. Like I can't imagine, like I have Steve Shingeldecker, who's the head coach of Robert Morris, on the show pretty frequently, and that they're a much smaller school, obviously, than UNC, but I can't imagine them getting anywhere near the amount of money that UNC or Alabama or Oklahoma State or any other bigger colleges getting.
Well, it's kind of like in politics. I mean, it's just, the haves are going to be the haves. And the haves are going to be the UNCs, the Michigan, and, the big schools. And, it really changes the face of who you are as a player. If you're trying to do, it's like what they've done on the PGA Tour with the social media, influencer kind of thing, who gets the most views and whatever. It turns people into something they're not. They're trying to get out there and be crazy or do things that they normally wouldn't do, so they could, earn money from the PGA Tour or now, for NIL. If you have, if I'm in school at the same time with Michael Jordan, who's going to get all the money? Michael Jordan's going to get all the money. John Inman's going to get zero.
Right.
That's what my brother always said. He says, hope you don't get paid what you're worth because you ain't worth nothing. So and if you're bitching about that, or whatever, that you're not getting paid what you're worth, well, like I said, it's gonna be the Michael Jordans, the ones who are these big, high profile, incredibly talented people. It's not going to be the golfers. It's not going to be the field hockey players. I don't see where the money's coming from.
Well, getting back to your other point, right? This is feeling to me like it's the rich getting richer. I mean, the players that are grinders, that might be the 9th player or the 12th player previously or the 15th player previously, that all of a sudden they're not going to get into the place that they wanted to play. They might get into a smaller school or something. But it feels like, to your point, the rich are going to get richer and people are going to get squeezed out. I just don't feel like this is, I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing the greater good here, John.
I 100% agree, and I know one of the topics you wanted to broach was the fields getting smaller on the PGA Tour, and I can go all the way back to, I remember one of the meetings way back when one of the players was like, what's all this 125 stuff? Heck with it, we need 70 players. What? Who's all this riffraff? But that's my brother always said. He said, John, just remember, these are guys that are on the boat. They're not gonna. They're pulling that ladder up. That ladder is not going to stay down there for somebody else to get on the boat. If they're on the boat, they're going to pull the ladder up, and thus make the rich richer and field smaller, and and it looks like that's exactly where we're going.
Yeah, so let's get into that topic because that's another thing that I've got concerns about, because we've had so many wonderful stories in our game, John, about the guy that gets through Monday qualifying who either wins the tournament or comes close, maybe gets a top 10. And now we're going to cut, the number of people that qualify down to 2 or 3, and then we're going to cut those guys out. And the top 125 now is going to be the top 100, and fields are just going to get smaller and smaller. And look, to Joe's point, I get it. Look, the haves want to get a larger piece of the pie. But boy, it just feels like, look, the PGA of America is doing such a wonderful job, and our PGA professionals and LPGA professionals around the country doing a great job of growing our game. We hear that phrase over and over and over again. So we're developing more and more players. You're seeing more and more good players coming into the college level because of what's happened at the AJGA level. But now all of a sudden we're going to cut the legs out from underneath those guys and girls because we want to have the top 100, just don't want to have anybody else in. We want to have an exclusive club. I don't understand where that helps us.
I don't either. And I always used to describe golf as one of the last bastions of true capitalism, where, you go out, you make your way, you make a good product and you sell it, you do well. In golf, you go out, you make it, you play well, you make the cut, you make money. And now it just seems to be eroding. Now it's, how much am I going to get up front? I remember, one of the big things always, for us, in way back in my day, it's like, well, people should get paid for missing the cut. No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't get paid for missing the cut. You have a cut at, 70 guys, top 70 at ties, and everybody else doesn't get paid. Now, there were some special events like, for when you won a tournament and everybody got paid. That was, and that just seems to be, the only way to do it now, so it's not, capitalistic in that regard. And if you play well, you make money, because if you don't play well and you don't make a good product, you go do something else. But now like you said, they're shrinking, seem to be shrinking everything, and just having less people on the boat. And I don't get it, and I don't get why our commissioner makes $23 million a year either.
Right?
So,
When I found that out, I about, fell on the floor. Like, you got to be
uh,
kidding me. This guy?
exactly. Yep. Yep.
Ay, ay, ay. But, speaking of the guys at the top levels of our game, John, and across the tours, our professional golf is going through something there. I mean, first we had Jimmy Dunn and Ed Hurley, who had enough of things trying to broker that deal between the PIF and Live Golf. And I think when the tour put more players and actual businessmen on the policy board, that was kind of the last straw for those two guys. So they resigned and left. And Seth Waugh, who's now the former president of the PGA of America, I know he is it's time bound, but he's now out of that position. He was replaced earlier today, followed by Martin Slumbers, who's the CEO of the R&A. He announced he was going to be leaving at the end of the year, had a warning for professional golf on his way out the door, essentially saying that things are all about the money now and fewer people are turning in because the money aspect is turning people off of professional golf. Then over on the
Yep.
LPGA Tour, Molly Marceau Saman, the commissioner over there, she announced she's going to be stepping down effective January 9th. Her contract was supposed to run through the summer of 2026. And then
Exactly.
Live Golf decides that, I don't know, I thought that they were kind of clearing the path for a merger by getting Greg Norman to step aside as CEO. Scott O'Neill, the former CEO of the 76ers, is taking over there. And then Jay Monahan says that he is going to be announcing a CEO of the new PGA Tour Enterprises, that new thing that they started up, hopefully by saying that they're going to have a new CEO of that. It's going to work alongside Jay. I hope that's sort of code for replacing Jay. But anyway, all of the top CEOs in every level of the PGA Tour, David Pelly over on the European Tour, they've all walked away. To me, that's
Right.
more than a coincidence.
I agree. And it is. It's just like I said, everything is so seismic, and things are changing so fast, and the money grab is, it's real. I mean, it really is. Somebody invest in the PGA Tour for $2.7 billion or $3 billion. I mean, what are they doing? What are they investing in? A 501c6 charity? How are they going? How are they going to make money back from this? I just don't. I don't get it. And I think that you've seen, tournaments. Tournaments have always clamored to have the best players play in their field. They want to have the best field possible. And we tried everything throughout the years. Okay, you're going to play and certain amount on the West Coast, East Coast, but we're all independent contractors. We can make our schedule. We want to play 15 tournaments. You play 15 tournaments. But those sponsorship opportunities just seem to be drying up. Um, and I don't know. Maybe that's what they're doing to try to reduce fields, so you're going to have a larger number of those top players playing in events. I don't know.
So the other piece that's really getting everybody stirred up is the idea that the U.S. players want to get paid to go play on the Ryder Cup. $500,000 is the number that we've heard so far. Tiger's talked about how he hopes the players will give that money to charity. They may not, who knows? But it's kind of so much for the honor of playing for your country, so much for the honor of putting on the red, white, and blue and playing for the USA. The idea is that players are saying that, yeah, all right, I'll come play in what's perhaps the biggest event in golf, but only if you pay me. That completely turns me off. Like, why in the world are we paying
Right.
these guys to go play in an event like that? It's like paying guys to go play in the Olympics.
Well, I don't think it's happenstance that you see who's the ones that are clamoring for this money, and what's their record here lately. You know, so you don't hear this from the European side.
Right.
So and I knew they'd done that a while back where they were given $200,000 to their charity, but now it's going to be just a direct payment, and it doesn't make it such an honor anymore, to make the
Yeah.
Ryder Cup team. I played on the World Amateur team in '84. There were four of us: me, Scott Verplank, Jay Siegel, and Randy Saunier, and we went over to Hong Kong to play. And I just felt terrible because we finished second. We were supposed to win. We were, supposedly the best team, and we finished second to Japan. And I always felt terrible about that. I didn't, I shot 77 every day or something like that. And, but it was, such an honor to play. Never played on the Walker Cup because I turned pro, but to play on a team for the United States and, just to be, I don't know, it just shows. I mean, the demands that top players and, I mean, it's just in business. I mean, you look at how much, the top 1% of all these billionaires, how much money they make and how much more they make and more they make, it is getting concentrated.
John, the one bit of encouraging news that I've read lately is that your brother Joe is now a liaison role for the PGA Tour and the policy board. And like I mentioned to you and Joe earlier this summer, oh, by the way, I've had several of your peers say that he would make a great commissioner. And when I asked Joe, he's like, it's not, they couldn't pay me enough, essentially. Like, it's just not,
exactly.
It's not worth the trouble.
Exactly.
So, but I feel like we're inching that direction, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Well, a liaison to the PGA Tour. Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that what? I didn't even talk to him. So good for him. Yeah, he's no nonsense. Thinks for himself. Has a great, sharp, right and wrong. Knows, which way to go on things, and he's just, he's very thoughtful. And that's good for him. And yeah, I'll get in his ear. I'll get him straightened out. See if he can get everybody else straightened out.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
John, one of the many great things that you have been a part of, I know you've made a lot of friends over the years. You were part of, Jake Trout and the Flounders and that band. I've seen pictures of you up there with Payne Stewart and Mark Lai. Talk about getting up there and when music became a big part of your life as well.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I go way back. See, my sisters, I had three older sisters, and then my two brothers were older than the sisters. And I did everything, they taught me I started playing piano, and I mean, I had choir, madrigals, barbershop quartet, had a barbershop quartet class in high school. I mean, I sang in a barbershop quartet since seventh grade, so music is always been very important to me. So, that was one of the things that, matter of fact, I was supposed to play in a golf tournament when I was in like ninth grade or something. And I wanted to go to this camp down at University of North Carolina, a choral camp. And my dad was incensed. He was like, no, he needs to go play in this golf tournament. Joe's like, I'll handle it. Joe talked dad, said, let him go to this camp. He's going to play in plenty of golf tournaments, So, he was looking out for me because that was something I really wanted to do. So that's always been a big part of my life.
At this point, I mean, you talk about being in a barbershop quartet. This is a very musical time of the year. Do you still play? Do you still get out there and play the piano? Are you singing the Christmas carols around the table with folks?
Yeah, I have a piano here in our Airbnb, and I have a piano at home that was my mom's. So I sit down and play a little bit every once in a while. But the singing and our barbershop quartet is getting together in January. We've only done it once since my wedding 35 years ago. So we hadn't been getting together, but now we're starting to get together again, and it's really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as you look ahead to 2025, what are some things that you're hoping comes to fruition?
Well, number one, I hope that, looking at politics, looking at golf, looking at my life, I think, everything is good in my life. I'm doing the things that I want to do. I tell everybody, they ask me if I'm retired. I said, no, I'm just tired. I'm trying to get retired. I'm trying to figure out how to be retired. As far as politics, I just hope that this country, finds its way. And, we definitely need to start talking to each other. And, I think that's gonna be one of the things that I hope the most for, our country, because we are a great country. And I think that, we can do great things, but we need to, put our phones down, talk to each other, you know, and be civil, and
There
that's
you
something
go.
that's just something that seems to be lost in this world. And, I hope that we find it.
Yeah, 100%. Civility is the thing that is
Yep.
one of the things on the top of my list. Just because we disagree doesn't mean we have to hate one another. Like
Exactly.
we can just,
Exactly.
why can't we just listen and talk it out and seek to understand before we want to start yelling people down and telling everybody
Yep.
that they're wrong and this, that, and the other thing. That is a thing that we have lost. I hope we find it soon.
Everybody goes straight to the nuclear option, and that's what we don't need.
Yeah, 100%. John, before I let you go, remind everybody how they can stay up to date with you. I know you're out there on Twitter every once in a while, but how can we follow you online or on social media?
Yeah, I think on Twitter I'm Audubon, Audubonjon. At I think that's what
Yep.
I am on Twitter. And
Yep.
but it's like, I don't post a whole lot. I just don't, because again, it's so difficult to be civil and people, but you know, I like I said, if you can find me, you're a sleuth, because I'm not one of those guys. I'm a little closer to home and don't have to shout from the rooftops of everything. And that's what I laugh about it in our whole society, is kind of how we've gone, is that everybody needs to shout their from the rooftops of what they're doing and there's some things that just don't need to be done that way. So so I think I'm a little more old school in that way.
Well, at least from what we talked about last time, the golf pro set cards appear to be coming to your house periodically. Someone's finding
Yeah,
you.
I know, it's still funny. I laugh, and people will send me a 3x5 card. Sign this. And I'm like, nope, not signing that. I'll just go. I've got 2 boxes full of them, so I pick one out and I sign it and send it to them. I'm like, nope, not signing a blank piece of paper.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
John, you're fantastic, my friend. I can't thank you enough for becoming one of my all-time favorite guests. You make every
Well,
time you're a part of the show so much fun.
Chris, I appreciate it. We always have very thoughtful conversation, and best wishes on your ankle rehab, and keep the faith.
I absolutely will. John, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Same to you. Anytime.
Thanks, John. Take care. That is the great John Inman, folks. They just don't come better than that guy. This is the third time I've had an opportunity in less than 12 months to have John as part of the show, and you can see why he's quickly become one of my all-time favorites. We have wonderful conversations. He makes me laugh. He's very very insightful, very thoughtful, and he's got great information. So, and he's got such a breadth of knowledge about our game, from being a young player, a junior player, to going to the University of North Carolina, obviously having great success there as a 3-time All-American and having won the national championship and an ACC championship and all of that sort of thing, and then going on and winning on the PGA Tour and being the head coach back at his alma mater. And on top of that, he is just a wonderful human being. So I'm very blessed that he has been a part of the show 3 times, like I say, in the last year, and hopefully we get the opportunity to catch up with him very early on in 2025. Okay, coming up next is our great friend Matthew Laurance. You guys know how much I love Matthew and all the things that he has done over the course of his career and how much fun he has made each and every segment that he has been a part of this show. Before I bring him on, I want to remind you about our good friends over at On Point Golf and their fantastic On Point ball marker. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only 3-dimensional ball marker out there, with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your 3-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023, and they were using an On Point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, you can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use On Point ball markers Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today. All right, now back in making his 24th appearance with me here on Next on the Tee is one of my all-time favorite actors, radio hosts, and people on the planet for that matter, and that is Matthew Laurance. Matthew, as you know, is the host of Backspin Golf, which you've heard me talking about for many years because it's fantastic and it's the best way to start your Sunday mornings. Now it's on hiatus right now, but during the golf season, you can listen to it on ESPN Radio, WLXG in Lexington, Kentucky, or online at WLXG.com. He also has a daily show that you can tune into from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time called The Matthew and Jimmy Show. In 2020, Matthew was recognized by the Kentucky section of the PGA of America as their media representative of the year for his great contributions to the game. And among his other great works, of course, you've seen him on the big screen, just as I have, as the great bass player Sal Amato in my all-time favorite movie, Eddie and the Cruisers, which you guys know I can't get enough of. You've probably also seen Matthew on Saturday Night Live, Beverly Hills 90210, One Tree Hill, or 30-something. He's also been the sideline reporter and the pre- and post-game host for Duke and now Kentucky basketball. And like I say, each and every time that I've had the honor of having him on the show, as far as stars go, they don't come bigger or better than Matthew Laurance. Hey, Matthew, how are you, my friend?
All right. Let me just say one thing. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. Let me just say, well, a couple of things. First of all, it's my honor to be on with you because you are the best golf podcaster anywhere, as evidenced by the many awards that you've won that we keep hearing about, because you're not a guy to hide behind your success, as so many are. Anyway,
I don't know how to take that.
With love,
but go on.
You know that. Sitting here in the green room, if there is such a thing, of Next on the Tee, and listening to that guy John Inman, that you would have me on following him is, I don't know, it's something that I might not be able to get over. I'm just telling you, because that guy, yeah. I mean, he was a great junior player. He was an All-American. They won the national championship, and then he won on the PGA Tour, and then he was the head golf coach of the Tar Heels. I mean, of the Tar Heels.
There's the Duke coming out in here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I will say this: I know John Inman. I think I've told you this, and I haven't spoken to him in a long time. And maybe when we finish, I would love to seriously get in touch with him and say hello. Because in the 10 years I was at Duke, John and Patty, they are the best couple. I had more fun with John Inman, as crazy as that sounds, because of the obvious Duke Tar Heel rivalry. I'm sorry, it just comes out. I can't help it. Everything you said about him is true and doubled. That's how I feel about John Inman. So usually I feel pretty confident coming on Next on the Tee. Is that true? 24 times? Is that right?
24 times. Yes.
I'm not being paid enough to do this show. I just realized.
You two are you're about the money now. You want to get paid?
You're darn right, pal.
Everyone wants to get paid.
I didn't get any NIL money when I was in college. I didn't get any money when I played on the Ryder Cup team. Now they're getting paid. When is my time going to be here? I don't get it.
What were you going to get paid NIL money in college for? What, beating up on the golf kids? I mean, that's what you and Mitch did. You were beating up guys.
Yes, we did. Well, not in college. We did that back growing up on Long Island when we were in high school. We didn't beat up on. I don't even think at the great Tufts University. I don't even think we had a golf team. Maybe we did, I don't know. We were too busy. That was Woodstock, so you know what was going on there. I don't really remember what we did. Anyway, I will say this too. Um, I'm happy to hear you laughing the way you're laughing because, you are a true professional and they can talk all they want about Patrick Mahomes with his high ankle sprain and this and that and playing. You are playing hurt because I saw the pictures of that screw or whatever the hell's in your ankle. And I'm proud of you and I'm glad to hear you laughing. Maybe that's the meds.
Hey,
Work.
well, yeah, we could talk all about that, but I tell you, you know what they say. I mean, you're one of the great actors of all time, right? Tape an aspirin to it, get out there, let's play ball.
That a
Right?
boy.
Yeah,
That a boy. Yeah. Okay.
All
Anyway.
right, so before we get into all the golf stuff,
Yeah.
I thought, obviously we're a couple of days short of Christmas, so I gotta ask you. I mean, I don't know if you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or both, or what's the tradition in the Laurance household, but what's on the top of Matthew Lawrence's list for Santa?
Oh boy. Well, most of the things I want, I can't actually say on the air. I'll just say that that it would be next on the tee would no longer be one of the top podcasts. I
Well,
can definitely say that.
well, at least I could edit it out. But anyway,
Yeah, that's true. This is going to sound like a cliche, but I my fondest wish is that we could somehow go back to a time when most of us didn't feel every day like the world was coming apart. Um, I know this is kind of heavy to say that, but I think a lot of us feel that way. And you, almost more than anybody I know, are a person every day of gratitude and thankfulness. And I've gotten a lot better in that regard, mostly because of my brother Mitchie, who is that way too. But I hate the divisiveness with everything in our world. And that would be the biggest wish I would have for Santa is to somehow make it easier for everybody to just live their lives and be grateful. That's my wish.
wow, and that's right along the lines that John was talking about a minute ago, right? About
Yeah.
civility and the returning to being
Right.
civil to one another, and we don't have to hate one another just because we may disagree on something. We should
Right.
be able to have a conversation and listen to the other person's point of view, and it doesn't mean that I have to shout you down or be mad and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of that, we need to talk about all the hate in the game of golf because
Well, I'm right up there with that. Now, my civility doesn't apply to golf. Let's get that straight.
Matthew, I don't understand what's happening at the upper levels of our game. Look, and I said this to John in the previous segment. Our PGA and LPGA professionals are doing a fantastic job of growing the game of golf. With tee sheets are full everywhere. People are getting out and playing, and the lessons and all that is wonderful. But it's something happened where money became the god of the game of golf at the professional level, where now all of a sudden everybody has to get paid. We got the guys want to get paid. Only the U.S. guys, oh, by the way, asking to get paid to go play on the Ryder Cup. I mean, I can't understand that at all. What happened to the honor of playing for the red, white, and blue and, for your country and all that sort of thing? Now, well, all right,
Yeah.
I'll come, but you're going to have to pay me $500,000 in order for me to come. I don't understand, Matthew. Everything seems to have gone awry, and money is at the head of everything, and I hate that.
Well, it's as we know, we were just talking about it. This is not just golf. This is a big part of the problem in everything in our lives right now. And so when you think about it, really, why should golf be any different? Because, one of the things, I'm not usually this deep in thought doing next on the tee. I'm usually a lot sillier than I am today. But, when you think about it, the thought I keep having is after just pick a number, 2 million years of evolution. This is where we've come to as a species, as human beings, as a species. Every day something happens and I just shake my head and go, this is where we are as a species? Really? After all this time? And it applies to golf also. The thing about this greed and all of those things going on in golf, I think things were starting to happen, for me anyway, in terms of the game that we love. And I'm not talking about all of us playing, and that we will always be able to do that. And that's the real game. But in terms of professional golf, I don't even watch it. And you have the best golf podcast there is. I have a golf show on ESPN. So for me to say I don't even watch it anymore is really, now that I hear myself say it, quite astounding. But I have a very hard time, and I'm talking mostly about the PGA Tour now. I love watching the DP World Tour. I love the commentary. I love the courses they're playing. I love, even if I don't know who the guys are, there's a calmness to me when I watch the DP World Tour. When I turn on a PGA Tour event now, at some point, I'm going to get upset about something. At some point. And I don't know what it is. Well, most of the time, it's the commentary that gets me really upset. I haven't watched a PGA Tour event with the sound on. I don't remember the last time I did. Seriously.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. There are very few. Now, I watched the LPGA Tour, which I love. I love watching the LPGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and college golf or amateur golf. Those are the three types of golf that I love watching now. And I can say, if you want to hear great golf commentary, watch the DP World Tour and listen to the commentary on those broadcasts. I think with a few exceptions, the commentary on the PGA Tour broadcast is absurd. I really feel strongly about this. It is obvious, and I just sit there, and if I put it on for a couple of minutes, I just sit there and go, I never learn anything ever by watching a PGA Tour event. Um, I just I don't enjoy it at all, and that's just my opinion. But to get back to the greed part of it, the numbers, the viewership of the PGA Tour is way down now, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of it started obviously with all the live stuff when that all happened, and then the whole thing got fractured, and these guys and those guys and all again, no civility and no any of it. And I don't care how close they are to a resolution, if you want to call it that, of the conflict between the PGA Tour and Live Golf. And we don't know how. They don't even know how. They keep saying, well, we're working on it, and we're having good discussions, or whatever the hell they're doing. And whoever's doing it, by the way, I'm not sure that at this point, I'm not sure what can be done to bring those two tours together in a way that is going to make it watchable for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are at the point where they've lost their interest. I don't know. How do you get it back? I wish I had answers, because boy, would I make a lot of money if I had answers. Oh, wait, that goes back to the money thing. But I can say this too, Chris. As great as, and I wouldn't say I love, because I don't know the guy, but I'm a big Scotty Scheffler fan. A big Scotty Scheffler fan. But I can tell you, I enjoy watching him because what he did this past season is unreal. that we haven't seen since Tiger. But none of those guys on the PGA Tour how about that word, pique my interest very much anymore to sit and watch tournaments. And they're the best golfers in the world. And I don't know how I get that back to. I don't know. I like a lot of the young guys. I like watching young guys coming up, but I don't, for example, okay, now I'll turn it around because I'm an idiot. Did you watch The Match?
No.
Okay, this is exactly my point. That you have three and the bulk. You know how I feel about him. Anyway, you have four of the best golfers on the planet. And it's not enough for me to go, I'm going to watch because I want to see them hit shots. It's not enough for me anymore. I didn't watch 1 second of it. Of course, you could have paid me to watch it because I'm greedy now. but um, if that makes any sense, I just don't. I don't care. I don't care about seeing Scotty Scheffler hit it 8 feet from the hole, every freaking hole. Now, I'll watch, for example, this weekend, the PNC tournament with the players and their kids, or the playing with their fathers, or the whatever. That I'll watch because that's interesting to me. And still, I will watch Tiger and Charlie every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's interesting to me, as well as the other people playing, Annika playing with her now 13-year-old son, who I was watching the Pro-Am today, and this Max, her son, he hits it 4 feet from the hole, just like his mom did, which kind of pisses me off, but that's another story. I guess I'm sounding like a bit like here's my favorite new word, not new, but my favorite word, curmudgeon. I am now a curmudgeon. That's what I become. Anyway.
All right, so there's a lot in there to unpack, and now let's start with one of the last things you said. You'll watch Tiger, every day and twice on Sunday. So we got the TGL League that's going to kick off in January. Are you going to watch?
Absolutely, I will. See,
Why?
because that to me is really interesting. I like this whole, if you, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know about Ryan French, who is the Monday Q info guy and is doing such incredible things for the game of golf. It's amazing. But if you're not following him, you should be. On Twitter, it's at a case of the golf one, the number one. He's been talking about there is an actual league now called the Next Golf League. Do you know about this?
I do, for the young ladies that are getting ready to try to make their way to the LPGA Tour.
Yeah. And it's the same kind of thing as TGL. It's no, I'm not sure. I don't know what that is about the LPGA Tour you're talking about.
No.
This is a league that's like a professional golf league, but it's played on simulators. You could play, I could play, any of us can play. I think it's $100 entrance fee, and the winner gets $30,000.
Wow.
And it's simulators, and people are playing it everywhere. TGL is going to be great because it's simulators, but then there are actual greens they're going to be putting on. There's rough they're going to be playing out of. I guess after they just had media days for it, I guess after they tee off on the simulators, then anything around a green, they're going to have actual greens there. And they'll be putting and chipping and all that. It's called the Next Golf League, I think. This is pure simulators. So you sign up, and then you can go to any simulator, any place that has a regulation TrackMan simulator, and enter these tournaments. It's unbelievable. But anyway, yes, I am going to watch TGL. I'm fascinated by that because those guys that are going to be playing in that, I think are going to be really interesting to watch.
Now, you mentioned Ryan French a minute ago and
Yeah.
Monday qualifiers, and you talked a little while ago about being interested in the young guys coming up, but now all of a sudden the policy board has decided to reduce the size of
Yeah.
fields.
Yeah.
So now fewer of those Monday qualifiers are going to be able to
Correct.
go play. We're going to have smaller fields from 125 to 100, maybe even less than that.
Right.
Right? Tour cards, we're going to give out fewer of those. So
Right.
we're shrinking the fields
Correct.
so that we have the same pie that's going to get cut in bigger pieces for the same guys. It
Correct.
feels inclusive instead, or more exclusive of people instead of inclusive, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow the game, but these guys are trying to cut the knees off of some of the guys that are grinders and are out there making the great story, right, Matthew? We've talked about this before. The Monday
Yes.
qualifier who goes on to win a tournament. It just, I feel like at the top level, they are cutting the knees out of the game of golf and going to give fewer guys the opportunity to make it.
All right. Now I'm going to say something to you. I want you to calm down. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Because you got a little, I could feel your blood pressure going up a little there. And you're not 100%. You're playing hurt. So just take it easy.
All right, I'll take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. There you go.
Right.
Yeah, you are 1,000% right with that. And it's another example of the PGA Tour and what's going on with what we just talked about. The simple line that you said, they're great stories. That's the thing that gets me going. Those stories we just had, and I'm sure you watched some of it because you haven't been able to be out, training for a marathon like you usually do because of your ankle. That I'm sure you watch part of the oh Lord, my brain. The final round of the Corn Ferry Tour.
Right.
The what's it called? Jeez, where five guys, seven guys got their PGA Tour cards.
Right.
For
Yep.
goodness'
The
sake.
finalists. Yeah, they went through the finals and
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Those stories are watching those guys on the last 5 holes with every shot, every putt could be life-changing for some of these guys is unreal. Here's an example of why those stories are so great. I just pulled up Ryan's Twitter account. There is a guy named Corey Sean who tried to get his PGA Tour card. This is what he's done. It's the 8th week in a row that he's playing this week in 4 countries and 6 different time zones, over 40,000 miles traveled, 4 stages of Q school, which he played in. And today, he's playing in this another tournament here in the U.S. He didn't get to play a practice round, never played the course, and shot 2 under today in round 2 of this tournament that he's playing. 4 under today. I mean, these are the guys. These guys are, like you say, some of them are sleeping in their car.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to put myself in the same category as these guys, but there was a time when I moved to LA, when I first moved to LA and was an actor, I was sleeping on my friends' couches, which these guys do. Some of them are sleeping in their cars, literally, going from little mini tour events and different things to try to get a career going. And like you say, what the PGA Tour is doing is pulling all those, not all of them, there's still going to be, where there used to be 6 sponsor exemptions that they get. Even the sponsor exemptions are being cut back now. So all the stories that we really love to hear, in the midst of Scotty Scheffler winning and Xander and, Patrick Cantlay and these guys, it's being cut back drastically, and it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, going back to that, because Martin Slumbers, who is the CEO of the RNA, who's about to exit stage left, and he gave a
Right.
warning to professional golf on his way out the door.
Yep.
Who said that, essentially money is the problem here. As our game has become all about the money, we are turning off the average fan or the golf fan that watches on TV, correlate that together. We're turning them off. They're turning us off. They're not watching us on TV anymore. And that's a huge problem. And it is, I just don't, John Inman was talking in the last segment, where all this money is going to be coming from and what it's going to go to if what ends up happening is they alienate us because we're sick of hearing about the Live Tour and the PIF and the merger and everything about professional golf we're getting sick of. So they're doing what I'm doing, what you're doing, and what other fans are doing, which is not turn on the TV on Saturdays and Sundays anymore.
Right.
To your point, how do we get that back? I don't know, but
I don't know either.
They got to fix this.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'll tell you, if I were a young guy like you, I'd be much more worried because I'm old now. I'm old now. I can just sit and watch, replays of the 1983 Masters.
Nice.
It's just, things like that. You young guys are the ones that have to worry about what's coming. I'm old. But seriously, there's no answer to this. Yeah. There really is no answer that I can see. Now, maybe somebody, will come along and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do. So, I don't know.
So is this a larger problem? And one of the things that I was talking earlier in the week on the show was about, look, you know it. I mean, your boy Juan Soto just went down the road over to the Mets.
Hold it.
Hold it.
He's not my boy Juan Soto anymore, okay?
He was your boy.
I don't even know who that is. Is he a baseball player? I'm sorry. I don't know who that is.
Well, he is getting stage left out of Yankee Stadium to go play for the Mets for over $700 million, right? Shohei Ohtani's making over $700 million. We got NFL quarterbacks that aren't even that good. Your boy Daniel Jones, making $40 million.
He's not my boy, Daniel Jones. What? Who are you bringing up? I don't even know these people. What are you talking about? Tommy DeVito is my boy.
The pizza boy. We all love Tommy.
Yeah. Anyway,
we all love. But anyway, we got quarterbacks making $50-60 million a year. I mean, at some point, it feels like this whole sports. And look, I'm all for the players getting paid, and there's a ton of money coming into the game. And since the money is really to go watch them, they should get the majority of it.
Agreed.
But, I mean, at some point, it feels like this house of cards that is sports and athletic contracts has just got to fall in because, and I'm sure you're aware, even though you're not up in New York anymore. I mean, Tom Patrick was talking about this. I mean, to go to Yankee Stadium for a ticket, you want a decent seat, you're paying $1,000. I know the same is very close in Boston for the Red Sox. I mean, it's to the point, and I'll tell you, from a football reference, the Atlanta Falcons played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I wanted to go, see my Steelers play. But if I've got a family of 5 plus some significant others, to get in and out of there was going to cost me a couple of grand. I mean, it's like I could go to one football game, or you could go on vacation this year. Which one do you want to do?
And by the way, if you went to that game, you wouldn't be able to eat anything while you're there. You could just get a ticket. You wouldn't be able to get anything to eat. Except, I will say, I don't know if you saw this. There is an owner that is amazing in combating exactly that. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
His name is Matt Ishbia. He is the owner of the Phoenix Suns. Now, we know how expensive it is to go to an NBA game, any NBA game.
Yeah.
He just announced the concession prices for next season, or I should check. It might even be he's putting it in immediately. Everything is going to be $2. Everything.
Wow. Okay.
Hot
dogs,
like
going to the Masters.
Beer. I mean, that's what So he's a billionaire. That's, we're not getting into this, but that's the big problem, is that the people who have this absolutely unimaginable wealth, most of them, and there are some that do, obviously, most of them don't do things like that. As a matter of fact, they do the exact opposite. That's the thing I can never understand, is when you have that much money, why do you need more? If you have $10 billion, you 20 generations of your family could live to be 100, and they would still have way more money than they need. Well, like, why do you have to make people who don't have the money you do live the way that they're living? Why can't people go to a freaking baseball game anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. So great. Usually when I come on next on the tee, when we finish, I'm up and I'm elated. Now I'm just going to go lock myself in a room somewhere. I don't know. I may not even bring my phone in there now.
But yeah, I mean, but that's great. I don't know what Phoenix Sun tickets go for, but I mean, I know Arthur Blank here in town is trying to do the best he can to keep
Yeah.
concession prices down. But when it's going to cost you $2,000 to get in the door, the fact that it's going to
Right.
cost you
Right.
2,100 or 2,200 at that point, what's the difference?
Correct.
So to me, at some point, this house of cards has got to fall in. I just can't imagine, like, where does it go? I mean, pretty soon, what do we have, $1 billion contract? Who's going to be the first $1 billion athlete? I think we're a season or two away from that.
Well, Soto is the total value is actually over $800 million.
Right.
800. I mean, that's the fees pretty close to being the first $1 billion athlete. And they're not billionaires because of their actual sport, but because of the businesses and investments they've made attached to their sport. There are some athletes who are already billion-dollar
of course,
athletes.
Tiger's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan's
correct.
a multi-billionaire.
Right.
LeBron is a multi-billionaire.
Right.
So,
Shaq.
yeah.
Now.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm not sure what can be done about this, Chris. I hate using cliches. I talk about this on my daily show all the time. But one that really resonates with me is the toothpaste is out of the tube. And that's, I mean, how do we'll never go back, obviously, to the way it used to be, in quotes, but I don't know. I have no idea how we get it back to where we feel like things are reasonable, at least.
Yeah. I don't know either.
I don't know. And believe me, when I figure it out, I will call you first so we can put it on next on the tee.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Enough of all of that. A little over a year ago, you and Mitch played in a Hickory golf tournament together. What'd you think about going back in time, speaking of that, and playing with the Hickories?
Oh, it was fantastic. The great thing about my brother Mitchie has been playing Hickories. He started a long time ago, years ago. And the reason he did it was he had a friend who had played Hickories, and Mitchell was ready to give the game up. He was playing so badly. He wasn't having fun at all when he played. And he said that he was really close to just giving it up because he'd got no joy out of playing anymore, which a lot of us feel like. And when he started playing with these Hickories, it became not what did you shoot, but it's so, the sweet spot on a Hickory club is about the size of a pinhead. And it became more about how great it was when you actually hit a shot the way you wanted to with these clubs. And so it changed his outlook to, instead of a score, before he would play, he would pick a number and say, if I hit 10 shots in this round, exactly how I want to hit them, it's going to be a great day on the golf course. And it changed his whole way of thinking. And that's how I felt when I played with the Hickories. And I don't have a full set. I mean, I have a full set up in my bedroom, leaning against the wall, because you never know if you sleepwalk. Maybe you get up and you take some practice runs. But I have a mixed set now, as I think Mitchie does. Mitchie has a couple of regular clubs in his bag now. But I love playing with Hickory golf clubs. I think everybody that plays should try it.
You seem like the perfect guy to be the sage caddy in a movie like Bagger Vance. If you told your agent to keep his eye open for a role like that, I think you'd be perfect.
Yeah, I would be, except 1999 was the last time I had an agent. So, you know, it's pretty funny. I actually just did a podcast yesterday that I do every year with the producers and some of the actors from 90210. They do a Christmas podcast every year. And that's the last acting work I did, was the final episode in 1999 of Beverly Hills 90210.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a sports guy now, you know.
So, along those lines, you've made a lot of movies with a lot of the biggest stars in the history of movies. Did you ever get an opportunity to play golf with any of those folks?
Oh, all the time. Yes. The answer to that is yes.
So who
I
would
can,
you play with?
well, I can give you, I can tell, well, I played in, I've said this before. I don't know the actual number, but I would say 100 celebrity golf tournaments over the years, to the point where I didn't have to buy a golf shirt for probably 22 years because you got swag at every one of them that you went to. And so there were all kinds of actors. You want to hear a Jack Lemmon story?
Please.
I used to play with Jack all the time. I have been so blessed in my lifetime. I had a series from 1987 to 89 called Duet that was on the Fox network.
Yeah.
And one of my co-stars on that show was Chris Lemmon, Jack's son. And Chris and I got very friendly. Chris, like his dad, Jack, was a member of Hillcrest Country Club in LA, which is a great, it's been there forever. The Marx Brothers were members at Hillcrest. And Chris and I used to play together all the time. And about the third time that we played, I met him at Hillcrest, and who's there with him but Jack? And I started playing golf with Jack, and Jack would come to rehearsals for the show, and we would go out to dinner. And Jack became a friend of mine. And I mean, really, listen to what I'm talking about. Jack Lemmon was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. And then in all the tournaments, how about this one? I'm sure you know who Andy Garcia is.
Of
I'm
course.
sure.
Of course.
Okay. Andy was a very good friend of mine and Mitchell's and Chris Lemmon's, all of us. We used to play together in LA all the time. And I always loved this story. Andy was gone for a while. And when he came back, we went to play golf one day. And I said, "Where have you been? Nobody's seen you anywhere." He said, "I was working. I was filming." I said, "What were you doing?" He said, "It's this movie called The Untouchables." I went, "Oh, like the old TV series, The Untouchables?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Who's in it?" He said, "Nah, nobody really. Costner, Sean Connery, nobody, nobody really." And so we laughed, and we were walking down the fairway at one of the holes, and I said, "So Connery is like, one of my biggest idols of all time." He said, "Let me tell you something. The greatest thing about this movie for me was not the movie. It was playing golf with Sean Connery all the time."
No doubt.
He said, "We played when we were not on the set, we were on a golf course."
Wow.
Sean he had a car there waiting. Like if they were going to have he was shooting one scene and he wasn't shooting another scene for 4 hours, they would get in the car and go play 9 holes. I mean,
Wow.
and he just had Sean Connery stories and just fantastic. Like I say, whenever I talk about this stuff, I've had a pretty incredible life, pretty
Yes, you
blessed
have.
life. Yes, I have. Yep.
Matthew, before I let you go, remind our listeners again, how can they stay in touch with you, follow you, whether it's on social media or it's online?
Twitter, I refuse to call it X. Twitter is at real, REAL, Lauro, LAURO, and the number 5. My daily show, Matthew and Jimmy, with my great co-host, Jimmy, is on WLXG.com. You can go there. We're on from 10 to noon every day. And Backspin Golf will return, I believe, the first week in March, and go through till October. And that's on Sunday morning at 8:03 a.m. every Sunday morning on WLXG.com.
You are the very best, my friend. Life gives you a lot of great things. It has done wonderful things for you. But one of the great blessings of my life was that we, through Twitter,
Yep.
became friends. And
Yep.
that's one of the wonderful things that has happened through the course of my life, thanks to social media and to this show and Thursday Night Tailgate and all that. I got to be able to become friends with you. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've meant to both shows, to me, and you're a treasure. You're just one of the great things
Well,
in life.
I don't agree with you, but thank you for the kind words. And have a wonderful, safe, healthy, healing holiday, Christmas and New Year, if I don't speak to you before the new year. I know I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Same to you. I love you, my friend. They don't
I
come
love
better.
you too, Chris. Okay.
Take care, Matthew. See ya.
Bye.
That is the great Matthew Laurance, folks. And like I say, they just don't come better than that man. It's a huge blessing in my life that I got to. I mean, look, as you guys know, Eddie and the Cruisers is one of my all-time favorite movies. Matthew became one of my all-time favorite actors because he was such a huge part of that movie. And from there, I've watched him do so many other things, Saturday Night Live and Beverly Hills 902 and all the wonderful things he's been a part of. And to now be able to say he's a friend of mine is just one of the great honors of my life. So I can't thank him enough for everything that he has meant to me in this show. And be sure to check him out. Again, at Real Lauro 5 is where you can follow him on social media. The Matthew and Jimmy Show, WLXG.com, weekdays 10 to noon, and Backspin, like you said, will be back in March. Matthew's the best. We'll catch up with him again soon. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this season's edition of Next on the Tee. I want to send out my sincere thanks again to Ross Greenberg, John Inman, and Matthew Laurance for making this week's show so much fun to be a part of. Now, I hope you'll come back and join us because we're going to kick off season number 12 of this show the week of January 6th, and we're going to do it in style, of course, with our resident director of instruction, Tom Patry. We'll also get our regular monthly visit from the Confidence Doctor, Dr. Bob Winters, and then top instructor Brandon Stooksbury is going to make a long overdue return appearance with me here on the show. So it's going to be amazing, and I hope you'll come back and kick off 2025 with us. I want to thank our friends over at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review for hosting this show on their site. For coverage of everything going on in Western Pennsylvania, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com, and you can find this show by clicking on the Sports section tab. Now, the most recent episode is going to be front and center for you right there on the homepage of the Sports section, or you can click on Sports and then Podcast Network. Then you're going to see the Next on the Tee logo. Click on that, and then you're going to have a lot of the most recent episodes available for you right there. You can also find this show over on Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Player.fm. And as always, my sincere thanks to the great folks over at Good Pods for making this show one of their recommended podcasts. So please download the free app and stream your favorite podcast right there on your favorite device. But as I say each and every week, my sincere thanks go out to all of you for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Well, I guess